What is up, guys? It is Bucky and welcome to your 13th Objective-C tutorial. And in this tutorial we're going to be learning a few more tricks with the for loop, and also I'm going to be teaching you guys an awesome function that's built into Objective-C. It's probably the best function yet. It's a function that, we've been making programs where we just type a bunch of stuff in the command line and it runs. It's like a big old calculator. But we're finally going to be building a program with user interaction where they can type something and they can determine the outcome of the program. So, I know, you're like, come on, just get started already. Well, okay, talk me into it. So let's go ahead and we need two variables. We need int I, and this is going to be the counting variable for the loop. And we also need int called user num, and this is going to be, this variable user num is going to store the number that they type in. And what this program is going to do is it's just going to loop through and output numbers before, but we're going to ask the user how many numbers do you want to output. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Put ns log, and all this is going to be right here is a little prompt. So let's go ahead and give them a prompt so they actually know what's going on. Say enter a number and I will print it out. And make sure you have a couple typos in there or else it won't work. I'm just kidding, it actually will, but just thought it would be funny. Anyways, let's go ahead. Now the next function I'm going to tell you guys is called scanf. And scanf is a built-in function, so we don't need to build it later on. Objective-C gave this function to us, and what it does is it takes the input from the keyboard, and it's a way that the user can interact with your program. So before we go ahead and use this function, you need to give it two criteria to meet. The first criteria, or the parameter I guess you would say, is what type of data are you going to be storing. So remember, don't put an @ sign for this. An @ is for Objective-C object. When you don't put an @ sign, it's a C string, or it's a C. You guys don't really need to know this. It's from another language earlier on that they took this function from. But anyways, go ahead and put %I. So what we're telling first is, alright, this user is going to enter a number now, and it's going to be an integer number. So we got that taken care of. Now your computer or program needs to know, alright, once they enter this number, what variable am I supposed to store it in? Well, we want to store it in user num. And one other thing you have to do is you have to put in ampersand or and sign before it. Now, I know you guys don't know what this means yet, but it's actually, it has to deal with pointers and memory and stuff. And I'm not going to be talking about it to you guys in this tutorial, but remember, when you're using scanf, drop the @ sign and add the and sign, the ampersand, before the variable name. And I'll teach you guys about pointers and memory and all that stuff later, but for now, we're just learning about the function. So after they enter a number, it's going to store that number in variable user num. So now we can call our for loop just like we did before. So let's go ahead and put for, and we started out I equals 1. That's why we needed that I before. You guys should know how to make a for loop by now. And now instead of I is less than 100 or something, just put I is less than or equal to user num. So it's going to go through the loop however many times they wanted it to. And last but not least, you guys are probably thinking, alright, I equals I plus 1. And this is perfectly fine. But let me tell you guys a little trick. Since I equals I plus 1 is so common in programming, or x equals x plus 1, or bacon plus 1 equals bacon plus 1, Objective-C gave you guys something called an increment operator, and what it does is it's just shorthand to do I equals I plus 1 or anything plus 1. What it does is if you do plus plus I or I plus plus, they give you two different options because people prefer one over the other. What it does is it adds 1 to I, and you can only do this with numerical, like you couldn't do it if your variable was a letter or something. It's only with numerical variables such as, whatever number they enter. You can put I plus plus and automatically adds 1 to the variable. So it's a nice little shorthand of putting I equals I plus 1 It just makes it a whole lot quicker. So even though you guys aren't probably used to seeing it like this, you will get used to this. And by the way, this is the common way to do it. This is what everyone does in programming world, so that's why I'm doing it. So now that we got our loop taken care of, our new and enhanced loop, we can go ahead and just print out ns log and go ahead and put at, of course, for the ns log, put %i, and then just go ahead and press I, because the user num isn't going to change. It's the I that's going to change. So let's go ahead and build and run this and save it, and let's see what we got. You got an error, and it said, oh, forgot my semicolon right here. Don't want a memory leak. And alright, so here's our final program. Enter a number and I will print it out. So what the user would do, let me get this right there. Actually, let me get it away from my face. Enter a number and I will print it out. So the user is like, alright, 21. Press enter. And so the program prints out 1 through 21, just like that. So they can enter any number, and let's build and run this again. Enter a number and I will print it out. Running 34. It goes ahead and runs 1 through 34. So this is our first program that we bought that actually took user interaction, and we also learned about the increment operator, which is going to save us a bunch of time in the future. And it just makes it look a whole lot cleaner. So for now, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next tutorial.